Part 5 starts with a scene of Orville is in the midst of a fierce plasma storm. In the engineering section, a lieutenant, Harrison Payne, is injured by a piece of fallen debris. Shortly after, Chief Engineer Steve Newton calls for Alara to use her extraordinary Zellian strength to help lift the debris. But when Alara arrives, she momentarily pauses at the sight of fire. Her hesitation is just long enough that she does not reach Payne in time, and another piece of debris falls and kills him. Blaming herself for Payne's death, Alara goes to Captain Mercer's office and attempts to resign. However, Mercer refuses and advises her that, since she is in emotional turmoil, she needs to introspect, maybe talk with her parents about why she fears fire so much. Next, in her quarters, Alara calls her parents and asks if she had a traumatic incident involving fire as a child. Her mother explains that when she was an infant, there was a fire in their home, and if not for Alara's screams, they could have been seriously hurt. After a while, Alara exits her quarters and walks through a hall. Suddenly, she sees a clown, who runs into her and disappears into the next hall. Scared, she rushes to the control room and announces that she may be hallucinating, and pleads for a resignation once again. However, Mercer and Kelly are unsure if Alara is hallucinating, and agree to watch CCTV videos of the halls. Surprisingly, the videos do have the clown recorded. Mercer orders the crew to find the creature, but to remain alert and safe as well. In the next scene, the team sweeps the Orville. Alara once again encounters the same clown in the cargo hold, and the two start wrestling. After a bit of back and forth, she retrieves her gun and shoots the clown, killing him immediately. Mercer then puts the Orville on alert until they can find what is really going on. Later, Kelly invites Alara to her quarters for a drink, but when she attempts to enter her room, she nearly plummets into an infinite void that has replaced her room. Thankfully, Alara manages to get a hold of her and saves her from the fall. Realizing these weird occurrences, Mercer speculates the crew may be suffering from a mass hallucination. So, he wants Dr. Claire to conduct brain scans on the senior crew. Alara then goes to Dr. Claire's office for the scans. However, the doctor acts weirdly and locks Alara with strongly fortified restraints. Taken aback, Alara asks the doctor to free the restraints, but Dr. Claire explains that they're a necessity. To make things worse, the doctor attempts to conduct surgery on Alara and kill her. Fortunately, with her Zellian strength, Alara manages to break free and confines the doctor in a cell-like simulator. Following the incident, Mercer and the crew hold an emergency meeting in the captain's office. Kelly speculates that the plasma storm may be behind the occurrence of such events. With no better analysis, the captain agrees to bring the Orville back on the plasma storm, believing that returning to the storm might end what it started. But their meeting is cut short by a swarm of tarantulas that invade Mercer's office. The crew flees away before the swarm vanishes in thin air. In the hallway, as Alara and Malloy rush to get the engines ready for the storm, they are confronted by an enormous monster. Alara immediately flees, but Malloy gets devoured. Terrified, Alara tries to call her crew members to inform them about Malloy's death, but none of them answer her message. Shortly after, Alara looks around and finds that she is alone on the ship. She hurries to the engineering section to get the engines up and discovers Isaac, who claims he was about to do the same. Alara asks to look for other crew members, so Isaac decides to check in the scanners. While working together, Isaac consoles her about Malloy's death and presses her to work faster in case the same monster returns. Surprisingly, she points out that she never told him about how Malloy died and quickly realizes that Isaac is behind all the crazy things happening on the ship. The two then get into a fight, which ends with Alara fatally shooting Isaac. With the Orville now in the plasma storm and engines not restored, the ship is nearly destroyed. Alara has no choice but to escape by a shuttle. In the next scene, the truth about the weird occurrences in the Orville is finally revealed when we come to know that all of it is a part of a simulation, not the actual reality. Alara is in fact in a virtual simulator where her fears are being tested. Meanwhile, in reality, Mercer, Kelly, Dr. Claire, and Isaac watch her run to the virtual shuttle bay. Within the simulation, Alara gets on a shuttle, but the evil Isaac arrives and ignites combustible materials near the bay's exit. This starts an enormous fire across the entire deck. Despite Alara being scared of fire, she somehow pilots the shuttle through the flames, exits the Orville, and ends the simulation. Now back in reality, Mercer explains to Alara that she came to him after speaking with her parents, and requested Isaac to create a simulation to confront any fears she may subconsciously have. Moreover, she also asked to wipe her memories of the request. Hearing this, Alara thanks the entire crew, and later that night, she sleeps peacefully in her room. Following this, the scene cuts to a few months. The Orville crew has gathered in the dining hall for a farewell party for Lieutenant Commander Newton, who is leaving the ship to design a space station. Lamar and Malloy get into trouble for pranking Yaphet during the party, and Kelly summons the duo to have a formal reprimand in their personal records. She dismisses them and looks at their files, only to be stunned for a while. Later, Kelly goes to Captain Mercer to show what she has just found. It turns out that Lamar actually has an exceptional academic record, with off-the-charts achievements. She suggests Lamar be promoted to chief engineer, now that Newton is stationed elsewhere. However, Mercer admits that although Lamar is brilliant, perhaps the most intelligent member of the crew after Isaac, he is also inexperienced and immature. Suddenly, the ship is rocked by a spatial anomaly, causing it to be partially damaged. Since Kelly wants to test Lamar, she assigns him control of the science and engineering task force to study the spatial anomaly along with Isaac. Down in the dock, Lamar and Isaac find Yaphet, and the three begin scanning the ship for structural damage from the anomaly. Oddly, they find that plants have died. Meanwhile, in the control room, the crew tries to warn a smuggling ship to avoid the spatial anomaly, but its captain is convinced Ed and his team are lying. Soon, the smuggling ship passes through the anomaly and emerges intact but adrift. Surprisingly, Alara notes that its system is offline and no life signs are found. This worries the Orville crew, and when they send a small team to the ship, they find the captain dead. In the smuggling ship's cargo hold, Alara discovers 20 crates of stolen Krill rifles. The crew realizes the Krill might be looking for the ship. Once back on the Orville, Yaphet vents out his frustration on Lamar's recent promotion to the task force. He also accuses Mercer of discrimination against gelatinous persons, before storming out the room. In the engineering section, Lamar heads the task force and starts their research on the anomaly. Through their analysis, Isaac and Lamar realize that the anomaly is actually a doorway to a two-dimensional reality. Later, the pair report the findings to Mercer and the crew. They mention that the plants and the captain in the smuggling ship died because they were compressed into two-dimensional space. Meanwhile, Bortus informs them from the control room that Krill ships are on their way to reclaim their stolen rifles. With 14 minutes until the Krill arrive, and the Orville's engines still offline from the spatial anomaly, Lamar and Yaphet suggest they go through the anomaly via a protective quantum bubble which would maintain 3 dimensions inside and hide from the Krill ships. Luckily, everything goes as planned, and once inside the anomaly, the crew marvels at the two-dimensional space and the life forms that live within. But soon after, the Orville is rocked by tremors as the quantum bubble begins to weaken. When Mercer suggests they go back to normal space, hoping the Krill ships have left by now, Lamar regretfully shares that they cannot return since the anomaly's doorway to normal space has now closed. Fortunately, the genius, Isaac, and Lamar find another doorway on the other side of the two-dimensional reality. Lamar explains that he might be able to create a quantum bubble inside a shuttle, which can drag the now lowly powered Orville. Having no other choice, Mercer tells Lamar to go with his plan and demands to pilot the shuttle with him. Next, the pair leaves in a shuttle with a protective bubble and somehow drag the Orville to the next doorway, which leads to the three-dimensional space. While they fly the shuttle, Mercer offers the position of chief engineer to Lamar, mentioning that Kelly was right about him. Just then, the quantum bubble begins to give out as before, but they successfully manage to drag the Orville and get safely into 3 dimensions. After everyone is back on the Orville, Season 1 ends with Lamar embracing his new position as the Chief of Engineering. Subscribe to see more videos like this, turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Don't forget to continue to Season 2 soon. Thanks for watching.